Now, in the last lesson, we looked at how we can use this app.get method, and using a callback function, we can tap into the request that was made to our server, and we managed to log it into our console. And then we looked at how we can send back a response that will get rendered on our browser. Now, in this lesson, I want to talk more about this first parameter for our app.get method. Now, you can see here, we're targeting the home root. Now, it's a little bit awkward because in British English, we pronounce root as in R-O-U-T-E as root. But that can also sound like root as in R-O-O-T. So from now on, I'm actually going to use the American pronunciation, which is very odd for me, but it might help you differentiate when I'm trying to say root or when I'm trying to say route. So from now on, when I say root, I mean R-O-O-T. When I say route, I mean R-O-U-T-E. So I hope that makes it easier for you guys to figure out what it is I'm trying to convey. So this first parameter specifies the route that we are going to respond to. So that means when we get a GET request from a browser that is targeting this route, which is the home route, then we're going to respond with this callback. Now, we can respond to different routes. So for example, if I create another app.get method, and instead of targeting the home route, I target maybe the contact route. So that's simply /contact. Then I can create a callback that has a rec and a res, request and a response. And I should really change this now that I've changed the parameter to res. And in this case, our response is again going to be to send some information. And the information that I'm going to send is simply contact me at angela@gmail.com. So now we've created another route. Now, as you can imagine, a lot of programming is all about forward planning. So it's kind of saying like, what if somebody tried to go to our homepage? Well, then we're going to respond with this. Now, what if somebody tried to go to the contact page? Well, then in that case, we'll respond with this. So if I hit save now, and I again quit my server, restart my server, and we go on to port 3000, then you can see that when I go to port 3000, this is my home route that I'm hitting up. It's making the request to this location. Now, if I go to my contact route, so /contact, and I hit enter, then you can see I'm hitting up a different route, and that gets caught by these lines of code. And in that case, my server sends back the information where it says contact me at angela@gmail.com. And that's what we see on our web page. So you can specify in this scenario what should happen, in this scenario what should happen, and you can start setting up the code for a lot of different routes. So now here's a challenge. I want you to create a new route so that when I go to the about page of my website at localhost, I want to be able to see a quick brief bio for who you are, right? So this is like a personal page essentially. So the home page just says hello world. The contact page has my contact details. And then when I go to the about page, it should now have a brief bio of who owns this website. So go ahead and set up a new route for the about page and send back some information about yourself. So pause the video now and complete that challenge. All right, so we've already set up two routes, one for the home route and one for the contact route. So now we're going to set up a new one. And again, we're going to target GET requests that are made to the about route. And when that does happen, we're going to use a callback function with a request and a response. Now, the response we're going to make is, again, we're going to send some information and we're going to say, my name is Angela and I love beer and code. So now our server is able to respond to 3 routes. So if the user goes to our homepage, this happens. If the user goes to our contact page, this happens. And if the user goes to the about page, then this should happen. So let's hit save. Let's stop our server, start our server with the new code, and refresh. Now our about page has a response from our server. When we go to localhost 3000/about, we get back, my name is Angela and I love beer and code. So you can set up basically as many routes as you wish. And that means you can start building up your website to have a lot of different pages. For example, you could have a page about your hobbies, you could have a page about your CV, and you can see that this is a lot easier than creating a new index.html, about.html, a contact.html that we were doing in the earlier modules when we're relying only on HTML. Now, just before I end this lesson, I want to show you something that I've kept to myself until now. Now, I hope by this point you've realized that it's pretty painful to constantly having to end your server and restart your server every single time you add some new code to this server.js. Now, if you head over to nodemon.io, this is a utility that you can install using npm that will monitor for changes in your source code, and it will automatically restart your server when it detects any changes in your code. So this will save us from insanity. And all you have to do is just to go into your hyperterminal and type these commands: npm install -g nodemon. Now, it doesn't matter where you install this. It doesn't have to be inside your package. It can be in your root or in your home directory. Once you've installed it, it will be available across all of your projects. So let's head over to our terminal and we can say npm install -g nodemon and hit enter, and it will take a little while to install. And now when it's done, we can go to the location where our server.js resides, which happens to be my Express server. And then we can simply say nodemon and then the file name of our server, which happens to be server.js. So now once I hit enter, nodemon activates and it will start monitoring for changes. So if I go in here and I add another route, say app.get, and let's say this is my hobbies page, and I have a callback, rec-res, and we res.send, maybe a UL that has a li, say something like coffee, code, and beer. So now that I'm done with my code, I want you to watch over here. When I save my file here, so my shortcut is Command S. Yours might be different depending on whether you're on Windows or Mac. But when I save this server.js file, then nodemon will restart automatically and it will keep to the port that we've specified in our server. So that means that my server is active and refreshed to the latest version of the code at all times. And I don't have to go through that painful process of Command C, restarting. It gets a little bit tiring after a while. So that is nodemon. It will save your sanity, and it's a really, really cool tool to use. So in this lesson, we learn all about routes that we can set up to preempt what the user might try to navigate to using their browser. Now, in the next lesson, we're going to be building a calculator website, and we're going to use what we learned in these lessons so far to build a full website. It's going to look pretty simple, but it's going to work great. And in the process, we'll see how we can get our server to do a lot of the code processing and make all of the code run on our back end rather than on our front end. So for all of that and more, I'll see you on the next lesson.